Hey, it's Peter Dills with Dining with Dills. Right now we're in Costa Mesa, California at the Karl Strauss Brewery. I'm with the head brewer, Matt Johnson, and Matt has made his way up from San Diego to join us today for this special segment. Karl Strauss began his career at the Pabst Brewing Company in 1939. Fast forward to 1989, Karl Strauss Brewing Company opened its doors in downtown San Diego and kicked off the city's craft beer industry. Along the way, Karl Strauss is credited with starting over 30 different breweries. Karl Strauss has long since retired, but let me tell you, his legacy continues on. The Karl Strauss Brewery is located in San Diego, the brewery that is, but they have restaurants all over Southern California. So if you're going into a supermarket or another restaurant and you do see a Karl Strauss on tap or at your local market that they have it in a bottle, it's brewed in San Diego. But friends, I've got something for you. If you go to Costa Mesa Brewery, Matt Johnson is the head brewer, and he has some special beers on tap here too. This is Matt Johnson, head brewer of the Karl Strauss Brewery.
Yeah, we do a lot of innovative and fresh beers at our brewery restaurants. This is just one of them here in Costa Mesa, but we also use it for people to taste our full lineup of beers that we have here at Karl Strauss. Any given time, you can come into any one of our restaurants or our tasting room and taste up to at least 10 different beers that we brew.
Now there are different types of beers. There's beers that I call sipping beer, or coming into here and having a lighter beer that you probably wouldn't have to have food with. But some of the IPAs or even the double IPAs, man, you better have some food with that.
Yeah, we do have some beers that are good backyard beers, and we go out and work in the yard.
Mow the lawn, mowing the lawn.
Exactly. Our wheat and our Endless Summer Light are great for those. But when you want to sit down and eat and really complement or contrast with your food, we have a full lineup of excellent beers that go well with any type of dish that you can come up with.
Okay, what do we have today that we're going to talk about and actually pair up with some of your Karl Strauss food from the kitchen?
Some of the beers we have today are Red Trolley Red Ale. It's a multi-award winning red ale, Irish style red ale. We have our Tower 10 IPA. We have our Big Barrel Double IPA, which is what you were talking about, and then we also have our Wreck Alley Russian Imperial Stout. That is a great dessert beer, and we'll get to that later on when we talk about dessert.
Okay, so give us the Reader's Digest version of how beer is prepared right here in Costa Mesa at the Karl Strauss Brewery.
We start with barley malt, and we mix that with hot water in our mash tun. We drain that liquid, which is called wort, into our brew kettle. We actually boil that. We boil that for a good hour and 10 minutes. That's where we add our hops. Once we add the hops, we cool that wort down and throw it into one of our fermenters, where we put brewer's yeast to eat all the sugars that are in that beer and create the alcohol and the carbon dioxide. Once that's done, it usually takes about 2 weeks to ferment. We filter it, carbonate it up, and it serves right to the taps here at Costa Mesa.
So what is the difference between the beer that's produced in San Diego that you ship out and the beer that I'm actually sampling here at the Costa Mesa restaurant?
Absolutely nothing. It is the same beer that we can brew here. We brew on a larger scale down in San Diego.
All right, I think now would be a great time to bring out some food, and let's talk about some food and talk about the food pairings with the food.
Let's do that.
All right. Pairing wine with food, it's been done. But craft beer, this dish right here, these pork chops, I think even Karl Strauss, he'd be proud of. What do we got here?
These are our beer brine pork chops. These pork chops have been brined in Red Trolley, which we have right here,
okay,
to create a real good caramelization on the outside of that pork chop and give it a little sweetness. This beer pairs really well with this dish because of that Red Trolley that's used to brine these pork chops. Also complements the sweetness of the sauce and helps cut through the spiciness of that Asian mustard that's in this dish. It's excellent pairing.
Matt, if I had a sticker right now, I'd sticker you a beer cicerone. You know your beer and you know your food.
Okay, Peter, the next dish we have is our carne asada fries served with our Tower 10 IPA.
Okay, so you were telling me about the 3 C's philosophy here at the Karl Strauss Brewery.
Yeah, here at Karl Strauss Brewery restaurants, we have the 3 C's philosophy when it comes to food and beer. That's complement, contrast, and cleanse. All has to do with your palate. complement obviously complements the dish. Uses, just like with the pork chops, uses the same beer that we brine the pork chops with as a complement to the dish. Contrast, this is an excellent example of contrasting by taking some of that spiciness that's in this dish and cutting it with our dry, bitter IPA. Kind of helps contrast and get that palate ready for your next bite. And then cleanse, anything that's going to clean your palate so you can be ready for your next bite of whatever the dish may be. So that's the 3 C's of what we try to do with the beer here, or excuse me, with the food here at Karl Strauss.
Okay, Matt, now I'm living. Now I'm happy. Beer and a burger.
Well, Peter, this is not just any burger. This is our big beer burger. This patty has been doused with amber lager, one of our beers here. The bacon has been brined with red trolley ale. The mushrooms on top have been sauteed with our Tower 10 IPA, and the steak sauce is made with our Tower 10 IPA. There's multiple layers of flavors that go with this beer. Now, we've paired this beer with our Big Barrel Double IPA, which is an excellent example of a West Coast style IPA. This burger has a lot of flavors going on, a lot of richness. This beer helps cut through that richness and also complements some of the ingredients on this beer. Cuts through the richness, but also complements this heartiness of this dish.
Rec Alley. Now, how did you come up with the name Rec Alley?
Well, Peter, we like to name our beers after a lot of things in San Diego, since we're a San Diego brewery. And right off the coast of San Diego is an artificial reef that the Navy has sunk a bunch of ships to create and promote ocean life out there, and it's called Rec Alley. A lot of people like to go diving to it, so we named our Russian Imperial Stout after the actual Rec Alley off of San Diego.
And we've got a dessert here.
This is our beer miso. Unlike traditional tiramisu, the ladyfingers are soaked in Rec Alley Russian Imperial Stout instead of espresso, so it kind of gives it a good beer flavor. This beer goes excellent with this dessert because it's sweet, it has some chocolate flavor, it has some coffee in it. I enjoy this as a dessert myself, but it goes and pairs really well with our beer miso.
I think I'm going to try a little bit. Peter Dills signing off from the Karl Strauss Brewery right here in Costa Mesa. And that's Matt Johnson. Thanks a lot, Matt, for the tour.
Thanks for coming, Peter.